right. Hi, Jessica. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Me too. Me too. So for anybody who's watching, for the women who are watching this that may not be familiar with you, I just wanted to give a brief introduction for who Jessica is. And so Jessica is a financial freedom coach, and she's also an inspired business mentor. And you can find out more about her at jessicacaver.com. And so just a little brief information, background about Jessica. She was born in Colorado and was raised on a ranch. And so she has freedom and being in the outdoors and entrepreneurialism kind of in her blood. And she also appreciates the finer things in life, the luxuries that can only be found in the city. So what she's done is she's created a lifestyle where she can enjoy that, where she can savor the moments and the experiences that she wants, and also leave room for new experiences to kind of get outside of her comfort zone. She believes that we're meant to grow and expand in life, and that it includes generating wealth. This is a vital component. And and so after working through her own money story, she's kind of made it through the other side, and she's financially free, and that's what she helps her clients do. She helps entrepreneurs through one-on-one personalized coaching programs achieve that for them. She believes that if she can do it, you can too. So, Jessica, thank you so much. I'm excited to jump in here. Is there anything that you'd want to add to that?
No, that was so perfect. It's so lovely to hear someone else explain it.
That's great.
I myself, and I'm like, oh, wow, that sounds awesome.
It is awesome.
Thank you.
I was so excited to do this with you. I love the energy of your website. And there was actually one article in particular that, a blog post that caught my eye. And I wanted to just mention something about it. And it was stepping into your truth and stop being a people pleaser.
Yes.
And I'm sure you could say more about this, but there's just one quote that I wanted to share. And this is, when you're not living your truth, you'll settle for all kinds of situations and experiences that drain and exhaust you. And I have found that to be true in my own life.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's the next part after that is, or somewhere towards the end of the article, that when you really set the boundaries, when you refuse to tolerate anything except the best in your life, everything else just falls away. You can't put up with that stuff anymore that you used to settle for. It's a clash of energy, and in the past you could have worked through it, and then you get to the point where you just can't. You can't show up for that sort of energy anymore, for that sort of situation. So, but yeah, until you get to that spot, you'll put up with a lot.
Yes. And so most of the women that will, I think will be viewing this will be in that transition place from, putting other people ahead of themselves in life and just maybe inching over toward this practice of putting themselves first in what they're doing, in the lifestyle they're creating, in their day-to-day life, and in this future that they're planning for themselves. So that fear about stepping, forward, what do you think would be the most important thing for a woman to know, someone who's just getting ready to, whose boundaries are being crossed, who's not really in that place? What would you want her to know?
Yeah, I think that a lot of women have this fear of taking that step and how hard that's going to be, and how that's going to be so difficult. But what's amazing is that wherever you are now and what you're putting up with in this situation is so much tougher than that next step. When you take that step to take care of yourself first, life gets easier because you set up boundaries and you have expectations of how people will treat you and what you're willing to accept in your life. So rather than it being scary, it's liberating to move forward. So don't be afraid. It's what you've been through is so much tougher, and where you're going is going to be so much more effortless. It's a good place to be going. And if you're aware of it, starting to become aware of it in your life, that's perfect. Because that's the first step. It's becoming aware that it's time to make the change, and then taking that next step into it.
I see. So that's great. that's awesome for them to know that being able to look back to say, oh, it's way easier on this side if you just come on over.
Yeah, just come over. It's much easier. The decision process and the trying to figure out, that's the tough part. Once you just make a decision towards something, everything is so much more simple because all that energy you were using to try to figure it out now goes into a solution. Now goes into taking the next step. We're really powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love what you're saying. I'm wondering, one of the questions that I wanted to ask everybody who agreed to do an interview with me was, what do you think motivates you? Because it sounds like you're so clear about some of these concepts. What do you think motivates you in life?
Yeah, actually, I can feel it building up in my chest right now. I'm so excited because I'm so passionate about women doing exactly what you're talking about. It pains me to see how many people don't step into their truth.
Yeah.
And so I want to be here to turn around and reach out a hand and help a woman take the next step. And that's why I'm so passionate about my business, is that it doesn't have to be that complicated. All these dreams that we have and these desires, we have them for a reason. One of my favorite quotes from The Science of Getting Rich, written in 1910 by Wallace Wattles, is the whole idea that desire is possibility seeking expression. We have these dreams and these desires for a reason. They're not just in our head. They're not just there. And so I'm very passionate about helping women, one, get clear on what they want and that it's okay to want that, and two, to really take care of yourself by stepping into that truth. So that's absolutely what drives me, is I can immediately see the passion and the beauty and the love in every single person that sometimes we forget or can't see in ourselves anymore. And sometimes you need someone to point it out for you again and to help you reconnect to that truth so that you can take care of yourself and you can do the work that only you can do here on this earth, in this space.
Oh, that so resonates with me. Wow. I feel like I have found a sister, a soul sister.
Thank you. I'm so glad to connect.
Well, and you may have just answered part of this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What do you think, why do you think it's so important for us, you and I, and for us collectively as women, to be having this conversation about putting ourselves first?
It's a non-negotiable, putting ourselves first. And, the conversation has to happen because there's still some guilt, and there's still a lot of old belief systems about our role in society. And the thing is that we get to choose the role. No one else gets to choose this role for us. Even, we've been conditioned in certain ways. We have stories, like I've talked about my money story. We all have stories in our lives, whether it's from our family, the media, different conditioning that we're raised with. And what we need to realize is that that's not truth. That's simply opinions and someone else's story. That we get to choose our own story. My background originally was in anthropology because I loved studying cultural norms and looking at how they vary. Just because it's normal here for us to overwork ourselves and not listen to our dreams, doesn't mean that if you cross the ocean and go to a different country, that's true there. It goes for everything, from what we wear to how we act. We get so used to what we're surrounded with, but we have to remember that's not truth. That's just the situation. And that should empower you to know that you get to choose what you want to be surrounded with. And so if you respect yourself, you will put yourself first. You have to. That's the best way that you're going to be able to take care of others, whether it's kids, family, your career. You have to take care of yourself first. It's a non-negotiable.
I love that.
Yeah. I'm big on non-negotiables. I'm big on the wording of I will not tolerate anything except the best.
Yes. Yes. There's a saying that I used to have about never again settle for anything less than absolutely everything that I want. It's just that line of expectation. And what I find interesting is that, and this goes back to something that you said earlier, that it is our choice. And so it's interesting that when we're over here and we're thinking that we need to put all these other needs ahead of our own, that kind of becomes a reality because that's simply our thought about it. And then when we choose to make that shift and have those non-negotiables and put ourselves first, it's almost as if the universe just reorders itself and click, 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 click. It's like, oh, she has a new expectation. Oh, we need to make these adjustments here for her.
Exactly. What are you being a magnet for? What are these thoughts that are going through your mind? Because whatever you're putting out there is what you get back. And so if you expect people to treat you in a certain way, if you expect to be walked on, if you expect take care of everyone else's needs first, those are the situations that are going to present itself. Mm-hmm. If you flip that, exactly what you said, to taking care of yourself first, making sure that you're healthy, that you're, whether it's eating well or exercising or just doing things that you love every day and taking time for you, that's what you're going to give more of. That's what your experience will become. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you're right on with that.
Mm-hmm. Love that. So sometimes what I've also found is that women, we can sometimes get stuck in. It's almost as if we're like fish in a fishbowl, but unaware of the water we're swimming in. We're going through day-to-day life. We're just doing what we need to do to kind of get through, and we're not aware that, oh my goodness, we're putting other people first. So what would you say are some of the signs that a woman who might be listening to this could kind of listen for to see if that's where she really is without her really being aware of it?
I think the number one question is, are you happy? Do you feel happy? Do you find yourself laughing during your day or smiling? I know it sounds like such a ridiculously simple question, but how often do you just actually ask yourself, am I happy? And then listen to the answer. Don't try to throw on well, I should be grateful because I have blah, blah, blah. No. Are you happy? Do you feel excited about your day, about the work that you have to do? That's one of my biggest focuses with women first, is getting really clear on what you want. Because for so long, most women are listening to families, listening to all these shoulds, and so they forget what they want. Their desires go out the window. They know what everyone else wants, but they can't remember what it is that they need. And so you have to reconnect to that first. You have to reconnect to how you feel so that you can move forward. And so, yeah, that's the number one thing. If you're feeling exhausted and drained and, life just feels gray, there's no ups or downs, it's just kind of something's not right. Life is vibrant. Life is open. It wants to provide for you. There's more than enough time. There's more than enough money. Every woman deserves to do the work she loves and have the people around her she wants to be surrounded with. You don't have to choose one or the other. You can have it all. And that's what I want. That's what I'm so passionate about. And I want women to know so that they can shift their ideas of what's normal and what they should expect. You don't have to settle. Don't play small.
Yeah.
You are very powerful. And that's another question. Do you feel powerful in your life? Because you are. And if you don't, you've given your power away. And it's time to reclaim that.
Wow. I just want to sit in that.
Reclaim your power.
Yes. Excuse me. So tell me a little bit about your journey. Have you always been so empowered and putting yourself first, or have you gone through periods where you put other people first, or maybe the shoulds or cultural expectations, and you transitioned out of that?
Yeah, I've always been strong in terms of I've always known what I wanted, but it was so hard for me to get there because I didn't, even though I knew what that felt like, I knew the life that I desired. Mm-hmm. It's not like when you're going to school or going to college, your advisor is never like, oh, you should mentor women entrepreneurs and help, empower their lives. No one tells you that. And so I had a lot of pressure coming from myself as much as anything to be the perfectionist, to be the people pleaser, to make everyone like me. And as you go through this journey and you really step into your truth, you realize at some point that no one has to like you except you. There's that quote I've seen before where, it's it took me 20 years to love myself. I don't have time to talk you into it as well. You either do or you don't. You kind of get to that point where everything's going to work out once you get really clear on who you are. And so, no, I didn't. I always knew who I was, but I didn't know how that fit into this world. Because I knew that I didn't want a 9-to-5 job. I know that I don't like working for other people. And all the societal norms want to put that on you. Like, it's time to go to school and then get your degree and go get your job, and then you'll retire and you'll have all these kids. And like this, it didn't make sense to me. All I want to do is, like, I love my husband, my family, I want to travel. It didn't fit. People thought that I was running away, that I wasn't being responsible. And it was this weird clash between these desires I had and also trying to keep everyone happy and wanting everyone to like me. And when I just let that go, that was the freedom.
So that was my next question, was what was the catalyst for having you let that go and making that shift?
It's kind of everything I was just saying about, I know in my core that life is this incredible experience, and I absolutely refuse to settle for anything else. Like, I know deep down that we're alive. Like, this is supposed to be a party. This is supposed to be fun. And so, some people think I'm crazy, but I'm having a good time, and everyone else that I work with does. So it was just that I refuse to settle. I refuse to believe that this is as good as it's going to get. And I believe that every day of our lives we're continually growing and expanding, and that it's just going to keep getting better. It's not like all of a sudden it's like, well, you hit the top, now it's downhill. I don't believe that. I believe it continually is getting better. And so, yeah, it was tough to get to the place I am now. I mean, when I finally figured out the career I wanted, it was happy tears all the time. And this was less than a year ago. I mean, this was end of last year when I really got clear on the career that I wanted after years and years of trying to figure it out. And I don't want to see another woman struggle with that.
Sure.
Just because it isn't fun. It's tough when you feel like no one understands you. But you want everyone to like you, but it's on like these pools and all these different directions.
Yeah, it sounds very confusing.
It is. It's terrible, and I'm sure many women can relate.
Yes. Oh, absolutely, right? We're all kind of like we're our brains are wired for this multi-fuse vision and multitasking and being able to keep track of so many things.
And then if you bring in other people's opinions and what other people want from you as well, like, where do you even begin? You've got to clear all of that and get right down to the truth of it. Otherwise, it's too much.
So then, if I'm understanding it right, then you kind of like hit this max point where you just had enough of all the voices and all of the pulling of different places, and you made a decision.
Yeah.
Is that kind of how it went for you?
Yeah, definitely. I think a couple different things happened. It was different phases. It was first realizing that the last business I had was not my passion, that I did it because it's what I thought I had to do to make money, and that all I ever really wanted to do was to coach and mentor women. And so I let that piece go. And then, but still was struggling with how do I do this? And just kind of did hit a rock bottom where I was not happy crying. I was sad crying all the time. I was just like so frustrated with not being able to figure it out. And through a series of events, came across an intuitive coach that helped me really get clear. I'm so big on having guidance now. I mean, I think it's absolutely required that we need someone outside of our group that can give us some support. Without, a lot of times I would talk to my husband, I'd talk to my mom like crazy, and I think that they were done. They were incredibly supportive, but I mean, how many times can they tell me the same thing and see me not act on it? So I needed someone outside to help me get clarity. And once I did that and felt that I could really connect with my truth again, life wants to pull you in the direction where you're meant to be, that you desire. And if you start taking those little steps, it will grab hold of you and pull you. You don't have to do it all on your own. Just take the little steps.
Yeah. So I have two questions for you then. One is in that before phase where everything was so confusing and before these synchronous events happen, what do you think was maybe the fears or the reluctance? I have this image in my mind of somebody being pulled by their destiny through like a pipe, but then pushing against the pipe so that they don't go. Like, no, I'm afraid, I don't want to go.
Yeah.
So if that were you, like, what do you think would have been the reasons why you might be reluctant about giving into what it was that was calling you?
Yeah. No, there was a lot of reasons, and I'm sure a lot of different fears. One of the main ones that was holding me back, probably two. One was the fear of not being able to make money if I followed my truth. And the other one was the fear of people thinking I was crazy, in terms of I was always very spiritual and very connected to intuition, but no one knew it. Like, my husband knew it, my family knew it, but I didn't want anyone else to think that I was like spiritual woo-woo. And so I just kind of hid it. And when I finally decided that I was so tired of having to pretend I was someone else. I just wanted to put it all out there. Not even thinking so much about my career, just like, I am tired. I am peeling all of this off, and this is who I am. And when I stepped into that, everything started happening very quickly for me, both financially, in my business, with clients. As soon as, I always say that there's power in vulnerability. And there's so much there. If we just peel it all off and show it to the world, and this is who we are, people can connect to that. It's difficult to connect with a coach who has themselves so high up on a pedestal that you can't relate to them.
Right, or who has a buffer that's trying to hide, who they really are.
Exactly. Yeah, so there was definitely those two fears. The fear of I was afraid I wouldn't be able to make money, and I was a fear of people judging me.
I see.
And then you just get to the point, if you're staying connected to yourself and what you really want, at some point you have to let it go, because you have to choose. Am I going to keep living with these fears, or am I going to, throw caution to the wind and just go? And you have to. How can you not live in that other space? You have to. It's your life. Like, do it.
Yeah. So tell me, just share with us a little bit about how your life is different now, because it sounded like lots of kind of struggle and just confusion and angst before. What's different now for people who haven't been there yet?
Everything's different now. It looks the same from the outside. It looks the same, but it's not the same at all. My life has changed in every way. I mean, I finally was able to create the business, doing the work that I love. For so long, it was like I knew what I wanted to do, like I said, but I didn't know what that was. And so I would try one thing, no. Try the next thing, no. And finally I'm in this space of this is it. And I felt it when it started. It was like, this is it. And there's not even so much a fear of failure anymore, because that's not an option. I mean, whatever happens, I'm staying on this path, because this is the work that I'm meant to do. So there's that lovely piece. Career-wise, I feel so supported. And to be able to create a career that, supports women in building businesses that they love and supporting them on the same journey I went on, but also has that spiritual piece, because that's why I say inspired business, because business is changing for women, and in general, businesses are changing. And I'd love to see all the heart-based businesses that are being created at this point, because there's a huge market for that. It changed my life financially. I am in the best place I've ever been, in my entire life financially. And that's something worth dancing about. When I allowed myself to have wealth, and I no longer felt like a fraud, and I charged the prices that I'm worth, because I work with women a lot on that money piece, because we block ourselves from that, or we only think we're worth a certain amount, but then we get burnt out because we're not being paid what we should be paid.
Exactly.
Where if we charge the rates that make us light up inside, we're able to be a better service, our clients get better results, and it's that balance. So it's changed everything. I mean, like I said, I can't think of what it hasn't changed. It's just made life feel so much more of a flow. I felt like I was always fighting that old quote. I remember my mom saying it once to me, just kind of half-handedly, but about it's either time or money. You either have time or money. You don't get both. And I was like, I will find a way that I get both. And that's the life I have now. I only work with a certain amount of clients, but we go deep. And that allows me to do the work I want to do, but it gives me a lot of free time, but also gives me the financial piece that's necessary and that we deserve. Yes.
So there's that part about you being able to craft that lifestyle of what you want. And so this putting ourselves first, it's not just relating to our family, it's relating to our profession as well. It sounds like that's what you've done. You decided what you want. And That's what
Definitely. You're not letting anyone down by putting yourself first. Like I said, you become a light for other people, and you will lead the way for other people by putting yourself first. You can serve so many more by taking care of yourself. And in whatever way that is that you take care of yourself, if it's getting more sleep or eating better foods or just going for a walk in the afternoon when you need a break, like, that's the other piece that I'm really big on. Is I was always, like I said, a perfectionist, people pleaser, like, have to overdo everything. And now working in a more inspired way of when I get hit with intuition to maybe post something on Facebook, I do, rather than sitting for hours on social media trying to force things. I get more results when I stay connected and act when I'm inspired. And that gives you a lot more time to take care of yourself.
Sure does. Yeah. So I love how that feels. It's what you were saying earlier about being in the flow. It's like you're being in the flow of what's happening and acting on inspiration, not out of desperation.
Yeah. It's interesting with clients sometimes when we first start working together, they almost get this "it's too good to be true" thing. They're like, "No, it can't possibly be this easy," and I'm like, "It is. Like, you make it so complicated. Like, what story is telling you that it can't be this easy? Because we need to let that go. Because it doesn't need to be complicated. The business, the money piece, I mean, that's what I keep talking about because that's my passion. But it doesn't have to be that complicated. And once again, going back to The Science of Getting Rich, one of my favorite books, he talks a lot in there about we're not competing with each other. We're here to create.
Yes.
And I love that. Like you said, I'm creating something. You're creating something. We're not competing with our businesses. We're helping lift each other up.
Absolutely. And we're creating something that didn't exist before.
Exactly.
It's building upon.
Life is meant to expand and grow. I mean, that's just the natural flow. If you look through history, once again, coming from the anthropological state, when you look at cultures and how things moved, and it's always expanded. It's always expansion. And us personally, we're meant to do that as well as we move through our lives. We're supposed to continually expand and grow into something more positive and better.
So from that place of expansion, I love hearing that things are just. I mean, it seems magical, right?
It is. I know, it's like a fairy tale.
Yeah. And there always are things that that maybe you didn't encounter before that might appear as challenges, and so that didn't exist in this other realm where you put everybody else first. So what kind of new challenges do you encounter when you make this shift and put yourself first?
I don't know. What are those challenges? I mean, I think that it's funny because the challenges that I come across now are things that I, was praying for before. So my challenges, they don't feel bad to me. The challenge of needing to draw boundaries so that I don't sign too many clients, so that I make sure I still keep space for myself. But it's like, oh, my challenge is having too many amazing people to work with. Like, there's, the challenges aren't that, they're not bad. They're just continually you needing to keep your boundaries and stay really connected to who it is you want to be and the life that you're wanting to create. Just really staying clear on those goals, and then you just make choices based on that. So every decision you're making, is this bringing me closer to what I want or further away? So I don't know if I really feel like I'm trying to remember the before. The challenges aren't even similar. It's like I get frustrated still sometimes, or there's it's not like it's all unicorns and fairy dust and happiness and stuff. But for the most part, it does flow. It does flow. It's just having this unwavering faith that you are standing in your truth and that life is going exactly the way it's supposed to, and continually checking back into that truth. Being like, is this right? Do I feel good? Okay, keep doing that. How about now? And just making little tweaks along the way rather than before, it just felt like such big ups and downs and not knowing.
So what I'm hearing you say then is that it's almost as if it's a process of tuning and retuning. And maybe instead of challenges, a better word to use might be, what kind of decisions do you encounter, or opportunities do you encounter versus what you encountered before? And so it's that process of being able to stay centered. And you become kind of the common core of your life and experience, rather than you having all these inputs.
Yes.
That is clouding your ability.
It's like an orchestra or like a symphony. It's like you're the conductor now. Instead of standing in the middle of the storm and everything flying around you, you are now conducting life. Like, and you don't control everything by any means, but you, like you said, you are continually tuning. You're kind of, you're listening to it. You're hearing the music. Is it right? We need to shift things a little bit. Like, rather than in the past, it felt more like everything felt so intense in not a good way. Like,
yes.
It's still intense in a good way. Before, it felt so just overwhelming. It's that draining experience. Like, if you don't take care of yourself, if you don't fill yourself up, you can't make good decisions. And so now in this new space, it's much easier to make, if I come across something difficult, it's much easier because I know this is not my norm. My norm is a really good place.
The way that I think of that is that if you're putting everybody else first, life is happening to you.
Yes.
And then when you put yourself first, life happens through you. It just emerges. It's a different, you become like this conduit.
Yes, exactly. No, that's a perfect way of putting it. Instead of life happening to you, you're no longer the victim of your life when you stand up and empower yourself in your life and you're making the choices. You don't want to be the victim. And that's the place that you're putting yourself in when you're taking care of everyone. And it doesn't mean that you can't still take care of everyone. I mean, I love having a home. I love taking care of my husband. But I'm a lot more fun to be around if I'm happy. Like,
absolutely.
I don't want him to have to take care of me. I mean, in terms of, if I have filled my cup up first, I'm going to be a much better support system for him than if I feel drained.
Or because when you feel drained, it's like you get to this point where what I call like the zombie zone. It's like you almost are so, it's almost like you don't exist. You've drained your energy and your desire and your enthusiasm for life just have gone bland.
Yeah, and that's how people will react to you too, because that's the energy you're carrying. Like you said, you're kind of the zombie. You're kind of just behind the scenes floating around. Whereas you become magnetic when you step into your truth. Like, you glow. People want to be around you. They want to know about you. They want to support you. Someone wants to help carry your groceries to the car, or someone wants to give you something for free. Like, people see you and want to help you. And that's why life gets easier when you step into that. That's why, like in the very beginning, I said it's much harder, that place you're in now, versus when you really step into your truth. Because life is now, or the universe is now conspiring for you. Like, it wants you to succeed. But you have to ask it. You have to show it that you are serious about this.
So let's talk just a bit about the cost. The cost of putting other people first. What does that cost us when we do that?
Like everything. And it is, I can see how people could take this the wrong way, because you do put other people first in a lot of ways. Like, there's something joyous about taking care of others. However, you can't do that unless you take care of yourself. I mean, it's the old, on the airplane when you have to put the oxygen mask on yourself before you put it on the kids next to you. Because otherwise you can't put it on the kid. Like, you aren't there to protect someone if you can't take care of yourself first. So the cost is, your happiness, if you have kids, what are you teaching them by always putting them first? Don't you want them to take care of themselves in a positive way? Like, show them how important it is to respect yourself, to cherish your life, to treat your body well, so that they can learn these practices as well. And the same thing for everyone around you that you're taking care of or you're putting first. And the same thing for work. I noticed that when I've had bridge jobs in the past, like being the people pleaser, needing to take over and do everything and make everyone happy, that's exhausting. And I had the habit of overworking myself and giving everything to that job. But where does that get me? With my own career, sometimes, I will overwork myself a little bit, but it's out of passion. It's like, if you want to stay up till 1 a.m. because I'm so excited to share the same information, that's different than doing something to make someone else happy or to prove that you're good enough, or whatever the reason is behind it.
Yeah, it's almost like the doing something from that perspective is coming from a place of emptiness, as if
and fear.
Yeah, emptiness and fear, but where it's almost like that you're trying to fill something that can't be filled that way. It's just impossible.
Yeah, no, that's a great way of putting it. It is. And also, I think that's what happens a lot of times with women when you're talking about being in the zombie zone and feeling like, life is just numb in a lot of ways. And so you go and go and go, hoping that something will change. But it's that other quote of like, you can't keep doing the same thing and expect to get different results. I think that's the definition of insanity. So you've got to try something different. And it is going to feel uncomfortable for a minute because you have been doing the same thing. You've got the grooves down on this old pattern, but it'll get easier very quickly. And honestly, it'll probably feel invigorating just to try something different.
Yeah. So what do you think then is the payoff? So let's say we have a woman who wants to try this. She wants to, okay, let me make a decision that's going to be putting myself first, regardless of what other people think. What's the payoff on the other side? What?
You get to be your truth. You get to be yourself. You get to be authentic. That alone, that was the payoff that I needed. I was tired of hiding. I was tired of pretending to be someone else that I wasn't. Or having to, I call it editing yourself. We do that all the time. Especially when I talk to women in sort of coaching sessions, they have a really hard time getting out what they want to work on or where they're wanting to go because they keep editing themselves. Like, oh, well, I shouldn't say that. Or, oh, what I really want is, well, no, you might judge. Like, I hear this all the time, and I'm like, just say it. Just put it out there. You don't have to do that anymore. Yeah, there's no tiptoeing. And there is nothing worth more in life than being yourself, than being authentic. Because there's nothing to lose. It's such a safe spot. No one can take that away from you, and no one else will ever be you. So you have brought a gift to the world that only you had to share. And so I think of it as much as anything as it's our responsibility to do that. It's your responsibility to the world and to yourself as much as anything to live in that place of truth. And just take little steps. You don't have to shift everything today, but what's the little step that you could take right now to transform it? What could you say no to? Or look at the list of things that make you happy or don't make you happy in your life. Which one can you cross off? Which things can you stop doing?
Let go of those.
Let go of those. Yeah, you don't have to say yes to everyone. You don't have to pick all the kids up after school, for the entire group. If you did this, everyone. I see these women who, I always make all the snacks for this group, and then I drive everyone here, and I'm like, where are all the other moms? Why are you the one that's doing all of it? If you love it, great. If you are exhausted and want nothing more than 20 minutes to sit down and read a book, there needs to be a balance.
Yeah, and give that to yourself.
Give it to yourself.
20 minutes to yourself.
Exactly. It's your responsibility to raise good kids, to raise a great family. There has to be boundaries with everyone. To have a great business with amazing clients, there has to be boundaries. Same thing will happen there. People, you don't give people your home number. You don't answer your calls at any times. That's a business with no boundaries, and your clients will not get as much from the work with you. It goes in all relationships, professional and personal.
Yeah. So since this is a collective conversation, what can we do as women to kind of collectively create this environment, this atmosphere where we encourage each other to put ourselves first? We're kind of culturally we swim around in this assumption. We have all these images, religious images, and myths and stories about heroes and martyrs, and it's out there. And I remember listening to an interview with Cheryl Richardson, and she was on Oprah, and when she suggested that women, mothers, put their needs before the needs of their kids, she was booed by the audience. Booed by the audience. So there's a big atmosphere out here that kind of is almost vying for us to stay as we are. So what can we do as women to help create a different atmosphere, a more open, expanding, and growing atmosphere for each other?
Yeah. I mean, first step is that stepping into your truth, being authentic of yourself. Because if you're being your authentic self, you're not going to judge others. Like we were saying, there's no competition. It's about creation. Like, how can you reach out and support someone? Like, we need to stop trying to build ourselves up by tearing others down. Mm-hmm. And that's the exact thing. That's competition versus creating something new. And I know that it varies. Kind of comes back to what I was saying about like societal norms. Realizing that that doesn't exist everywhere. That relationship where women are seen in a certain way, what our role is, that is just our culture. This isn't a global thing. This isn't across all animals or whatever. This is just here. And sometimes that helps to make us realize that it might feel like that's all there is, but it's not. It's much smaller. It's not the end-all truth. But we have to support each other. We are responsible to live authentically so that we can inspire each other. Like, by you doing this, by me living as myself, that is shining the light to show that there is another option. And the more women that step into their truth, it is kind of that martyrdom. You are doing it to a certain extent to save others, but at the same time, you are saving yourself as well. Like, if that makes sense.
Sure.
You know, you're helping others, but it reminds me of, I did a lot of work with like Mike Dooley, the Nose from the Universe guy. I don't know if you're familiar with his stuff. And they talk a lot about the importance of being selfish, which sounds so bizarre. But the idea is exactly what we're talking about. If you take care of yourself first, you can give more to others. And every great leader and person who's given in the past, they took care of themselves. They had to, because to do great work. You have to.
Yes. And that's one of the things that I'm so passionate about, and it's because if a woman is too busy putting everybody else first, then she doesn't deliver on the gift that only she can give to the world. And we need alive, turned on, plugged in, present women to show up and to be making choices with their values, with their decisions, with their time, with their money, that will make this a more compassionate and fun place to be.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah, and I keep thinking about what you said about on Oprah and getting food and that sort of thing. But the thing is that when that woman puts herself first and takes care of herself, it doesn't mean she's being negligent. It doesn't mean she's like left the kids out on the street to play. Like, you know, you're still being a responsible human being. But when you put yourself first, it teaches your kids to do the same. And not in a selfish manner. Not that they're going to treat people badly. But when you treat yourself better, you will treat others better. It's just the way it is. If you take care of yourself and you're happier and you feel more clear about life, you can't help but to treat other people the same way. Like, you respect yourself, you respect others. It just goes hand in hand.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. It's true. It's true.
Yes. Yeah. So then to wrap things up here, what are you most excited about these days? Like, what are you mentioned on your website that you like to kind of get out of your comfort zone and try new things and expand. That's what you're about. So what's coming up for you that's fun, that you're looking forward to, that might be exciting and a little bit fearful?
Yeah. I was so ready to travel. Like I said, my background was in anthropology, and I used to travel a lot and kind of slowed down. I got married about a year ago and kind of slowed down, and I'm ready to travel. And now that I have the business set up that allows me to do that, that's my plan. I'm ready. My husband's a musician, and so he goes on tour this fall as well. So I'm ready to be on the road, and it does get I can get a little fearful, but I thrive on change and on being in places where I get to meet new people. So yeah, I have to go outside my comfort zone because I'm going to be meeting a lot of new people and reaching out there and really standing in my truth. But I'm thrilled about it. I'm so excited to travel the world and spread the message, lift some more people up,
That's great.
and lift myself up and take care of myself and do beautiful. Like you said, there's some things that you can only find in the city. Like sometimes you need a nice spa retreat. You need to stay in a nice hotel. And so give yourself all of that. There's nothing wrong with it. There should be no guilt around making money and being able to share with others. It's much easier to be generous when you have more than enough.
Yes. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Jessica. I really
Lovely. It was so fun to chat.
So, if you want to get in touch with Jessica, she's at jessicacaver.com, and I'll put a link to this in the post.
Perfect.
So,
Yeah. No, it's so lovely to connect with you, and everyone's welcome to come check out my site. And there's a free audio course on there as well about 5 days to thrive, and that's one of the main things I recommend. It's easy. It's like 15-minute little short audios that you get to listen to, and it helps you get clear on what exactly it is that you want to get. So if you're having a hard time figuring that out, it's a good place to start with just those little steps that I was talking about, just taking care of yourself. So
great. And what was that called again?
It's called 5 Days to Thrive.
5 Days to Thrive. Okay.
Yeah. Just 5 days of an audio gift for me each day that just kind of guides you back into that space of, am I happy? Am I not happy? And what do I need to get there?
Beautiful
Stuff. It's been so fun talking with you. Yay.
Same here. Thank you so much.
Of course. And let me know if you need anything else.
I'll do.